Hello everyone, Galaxy Summit. It's the PvP cross-server battle between alliances. Each alliance has a ranking based on their wins and losses, and today we'll be watching the two top alliances from Nebula 54 battling it out. My alliance Concord challenged Genus Rosaceae, aka BMR, both from Nebula 54, in a friendly battle to measure our strengths and have a bit of fun. And boy, it was a close fight. For the most part, I'm going to be letting the video play out for you to just watch, but I'll be interjecting with commentary here and there on what both sides of the fields are doing, explain our thoughts and some of the strategies that are happening, and give an idea of what's involved in a 45-minute close fight between two alliances. I've sped up the footage here. It was a 45-minute fight, but I've got it down to about 26 minutes here, so hope you enjoy. So at the start of the battle here, we figure out that it's possible to see how many people are actually in the battlefield. First off, what you want to do is see how many's in your HQ, and then look at the rankings. That will list everyone in the game. So we actually saw that it was a very even fight, so we knew it was going to be a close one. Our strategy here was a bit different from before. Before we would split up evenly into all the different fields, but now we decided that we'd send only the minimum amount to top and middle to capture some outposts, but then everyone else will go bottom. We're going to follow our top player, who's 15 million in power. He's running an Artemis setup, so he's very, very fast. And the idea is he's going to tank while the rest of us pile on the damage, and we're just going to rush towards their HQ. So you can see here, it looks like top was getting pushed by the enemy more so, and the enemy were too afraid to push into 8, so that was a good place for our minimal fleets. I don't think they realised that we were all going bottom. So at this time the battle starts bottom and we slowly pile in and we outnumber them in the end. They started with 20 million, but that's all they've got. As we slowly catch up, we go up to 30 plus million. And you can see in the map at the top right that we've captured 7 and 8. So the goal for top and mid in this strategy was they just needed to hold it. They weren't really going to battle unless they got caught, because they knew that they were likely going to lose it because they just don't have the numbers. So the order was to, as soon as the battle starts or they start flying towards us for the battle, we were to retreat out. So you see here, bottom finally gets its victory. One of the big problems with this mode is battles take so long to conclude, and by the time the first battle was done, all the other rows were ready to push forward. So we started to lose 8, and then 7 was closing in right behind. But bottom had won, so we pushed all the way to 14, took 14 easily. And then our top player decided to go straight for the HQ. Now I think this is where we made a mistake. He should have battled out and killed everyone that was here, and then we push into the HQ. Instead he thought that he could take the HQ by himself. It was 12 million when we scouted, but unfortunately there's a fast withdraw mechanic which allowed the enemy to teleport back essentially to defend, so it ended up about 30 million in the end and he couldn't take that alone. So we captured 14, but we lost the push into 15. So the idea was that we were just going to take some systems around their HQ while we waited for Pharaoh to return. Instead what happened is 7 and 8 started to get pushed a little bit too much, so we decided to fall back a little bit and secure both other lanes, starting with middle, because middle is a very important lane. I think if we were to do this again, this strategy specifically, instead of going bottom we would go middle. Not only is the travel time shorter for going middle, because the difference between going from 1 to 3 to 5 or 1 to 2 to 5 is shorter than going 1 to 3 to 6. There's also 2 connections, so you reach 11 and you have the choice of 13 and 14, so we could just go for whatever one. It depends what our goal is. If we want to kill as many as we can before they group up, then we go for the one with the most people, or if we want to just reach their HQ, we go for the one with the least people and then hit their HQ as fast as possible. Now you see here we start to lose 14, and this is because pretty much our entire bottom fleet is now going middle, and like I said, the battles take so long that it's hard for us to adjust. So we start coming bottom, but by the time that all those battles conclude, there's not enough time for people to get here. So I end up losing this fight here because only a couple of us managed to get down. The rest are still in battle in other systems who got caught or were catching other BMR players. Now I gave the order here to protect 12 and reinforce it, but really we should have been consolidating our power. We shouldn't have been going out and trying to defend a system that they were pushing with all their people until we grouped together. So you can see here we've still got most people going from 11 to 14. We should have waited before giving the order to push 12 and 9. Instead we should have grouped up in 14 and then moved out and killed as many as we could. When a Galaxy Summit match gets to this stage, what you want to do is you want to whittle down your opponent's Corium and their repair speed ups, because that's what's keeping them in the game. You want to kill them as fast as possible and repeatedly. You don't want to take fights where it's even, like the one that you're seeing right now. You want to be taking fights where you overwhelm them and kill them outright. Unfortunately, because we are the top 2 alliances in our server, that strategy of trying to whittle down our opponent's Corium didn't really work. BMR have a lot of big spenders, so they have a lot of Corium to spend. So that's why this battle goes on for 45 minutes, because it's a neck and neck battle of trading off, where there's just no end in sight for how much Corium each side can spend. So you see here, we notice that the big BMR players start going top. So we start our defense of top and kind of lose focus on bottom and mid. This is perfect because most of us from bottom and mid are now going back to our base to regen our ships. So now we're going to head top and take out those top players. Pharaoh himself managed to push into 14 with some others, but I think that battle ended up failing. We'll see in a second. You see here I'm starting to run out of ships. That's me on my last legs. I do repair multiple times throughout this. I use all of my repair speed ups, and then I have to use some Corium for the last repair. Now you see here Nasuki. Now this person I think is the MVP of BMR. What they did is they have an Artemis fleet similar to Pharaoh, where it's very, very fast. On top of that, they have the 20% navigation speed up from the Princeps title buff. So they were going possibly even faster than Pharaoh himself. So our task here was to stop her from being able to push forward. You'll see throughout the entire game that Nasuki continuously pushes top and goes very, very fast. Now you see here the top players on BMR fell back when the majority of us started going top, and now they've started going middle. they used the fast teleports to basically teleport themselves from 7 to 8, and they took 8 outright. So our plan now is basically to finish off what battles we have top and go middle again. Again, we didn't really have the focus of we need to push their HQ, we just wanted to whittle down their fleets, and that's what we were trying to do here. There we go, we see Nasuki going top again. Now, since BMR are listening here, I'll give some advice on what Nasuki should have been doing here. Now, her push here was very, very good. She kept doing it for the entire game. She would take all of top, take out any fleets that were defending it, and whittle them down very fast. Now, towards the end of the match, you see that BMR kind of realised that 5 is the key system to hold. So they start moving through top again, and then they take 5, and then pretty much all of middle collapses because they can push from 5 to 8 and from 13, 14 to 11. Now what Nasuki should have been doing was basically spawn killing our guys as they came out of the HQ. I don't know if there was many opportunities for that, but that's a good way for her to quickly get some wins because she's got a 7 million fleet, right? She's going to win pretty much any 1v1 that she takes. As long as we don't realise that that's happening, she should be able to take out a lot of fleets before we can respond to her, just purely because of our speed. Now you see here my UI bugged out many times during this, so I had to reload the game quite a lot. Because just random things started coming up on screen, fleets were duplicated. At one point there was 3 of the enemy, and you see right now that there's the base icon right in the middle, which got really annoying. So if you do want to reload your UI, all you have to do is click that button in the top left, and that will take you back to the regular nebula, and then you can click on the battle phase button again and just join back in. We're pushing middle and bottom, but Nasuki is top again, pushing it again. So we're going to have to send our forces back to stop her once again before she pushes too far forward, because the big, I want to say, problem with this game mode is the only goal is for you to take the enemy's HQ. That's all you have to do. If you win the battle against the HQ, you win the entire mode. It doesn't matter how many kills you got, it doesn't matter how many outposts you held, all you have to do is kill that HQ and you win. So our fear was Nasuki was going to be able to push top and then go straight into our HQ. Thankfully, we had enough people in the HQ every time, but there is one case where Young God, another BMR player, he pushed all of bottom while we were busy top and mid, and he managed to get into our HQ, and it was actually a very close fight. It was 20 million versus his, I think, probably about 15 to 12 million, and he actually nearly won that, so that was very scary. And there's no... it's very hard to reinforce your HQ. If you fast withdraw, they don't join the battle. You have to manually fly your ship into the HQ to reinforce it. And even then, you've probably noticed already that they reinforce the time between your fleet actually getting there and numbers registering is so long that he could end up winning the HQ before any of that happens. So right now I think it's a turning point in the game. BMR figured out that they can take 5, and if they hold 5, they pretty much hold the front line. They can stop us from going forward to 4 and 6 by going into 2 and 3 from 5. We didn't realise that was a strategy until pretty late. So we didn't really focus on taking 5, we were more focused on taking out their fleets, and we knew that they had about 30 million power in 5, and we didn't really want to initiate that battle. We wanted to pick them off the sides. So we let them gather, and I think that was a mistake. I think we should have gathered, getting ready to assault 5, and made sure that we never lose it. We do attempt it here, and I think we do take it back. But again, we lose focus, we go top and middle, and then they just push 5. That, I think at this point, that is their objective, to hold 5. And you can see clearly from the top right, the map is very in their favour now, and it's because we've lost that pressure of owning middle. Middle is such a beneficial thing to hold. Also, a very good tip is we discovered if you zoom out to about this level, you actually see the little circles for how to join battles. Very, very useful if you want to be able to click efficiently. Now, we figured out that you just have to click where those moving arrows go from the markers, but if you want it to be a lot easier, just zoom out to about this level and you should start seeing the little circles again. And little circles, you just have to click those. Now you see here our HQ actually comes under assault by Nasuke, but then we realise we've got 20 plus million there, it's not going to be a problem for us to defend, even though she's got a 7 million fleet. So with Nasuke dead, Pharaoh begins to push top, and we begin to try and retake bottom and middle. We've managed to take 5, and now we've got a big battle going bottom. Now we cannot let this amount of players sit this close to our HQ, it was making us sweat to say the least. So we wanted to clear this as fast as possible. We were telling everyone to get into free, we have to take this and we have to do it together because they have a 20 million plus fleet here. Now, I'm not sure what happened here exactly, they split into 2 groups, Young God and Luke. If they stayed together it would have been a lot harder for us to win this. Yes, we had 35 million, but again, we would have took heavy losses from it. They would have obviously lost the 20 million, but it was a hard one. Now again, you see here, as soon as we focus bottom, they take 5 and then they take 2. This is where we were really bad. We weren't very good at splitting our focus. We had multiple teams, but because we committed both to bottom, we weren't able to utilise splitting our teams up like BMR were doing. They had people, like right here, they try and storm our HQ again, but I managed to stop one of them, and then that kind of stops that assault. We start piling in and start defending 2 again. Now it's not really a problem that we've lost most of the map here. There's 13 minutes left, there's enough time to retake enough outposts. Given that battles are very, very long, oh, you can see here actually there's a bug. You weren't able to, no one in my alliance was able to join this battle. It was me versus 30 million of them. No one in my alliance could join. Apparently if you hit join it like automatically sent you back to the HQ, which was very odd. So a lot of us got caught out here because of that bug. Anyway, like I was saying, you don't actually need to care that we lost a lot of the systems here, because we have 13 minutes or 12 minutes now to retake everything. Now, we did cut it a little bit too close, but again, like I said, our strategy was to weather down the opponent's corium. Now, as these summits go on and on, I think people will be less willing to spend so much corium. There was a lot of pride on the line here. I think BMR and Con, they wanted to give everything into this. So I personally spent probably about 20 to 30,000 corium, which is a lot. And I'm sure BMR spent quite a lot themselves. Nasuki especially, she sacrificed quite a lot of fleets with her pushies top, although they were very effective, so definitely worthwhile for her. Now you see here we've got Pharaoh attacking the base so that we can start pushing the other lanes while we've got this big battle underway. That big battle, because there's so many flagships involved, it's going to take a while for all the flagships to die. So Pharaoh was able to go top before anyone could chase him, essentially. Now you see here, this is exactly what I was talking about before. Young God was pushing our HQ. I quickly checked to see who's in our HQ, and it looks like we have enough, but I wasn't sure. We had 20 million versus his 10 million, so I'm like, oh, we should be fine. But then that happened, that big chunk that we lost, and I think that was Young God's rank 9 ability from his flagship that just took a huge chunk out of us. Thankfully we ended up winning it, but it was way too close for comfort. From there we started pushing out again, and we had to develop, we realized that the reason we were losing was because BMR were using strategies which forced us to abandon ours. I want to say cheese strategies. They weren't really that cheesy. They're legitimate strategies, but they're strategies that cause chaos, essentially. So Nasuki going top, constantly going top, and Young God going middle or bottom is causing chaos because we have to respond to them. We can't beat them alone, like I tried to do there. So I'll point it out closer to the time, but we do one thing as the game's coming to a close on how to kind of come back from this, because at this point we were very scared about winning. It's 2 to 14, and there's no guarantee that we're going to take all the others because of how long battles take. There was a battle earlier in the match where it took 2.5 minutes for the battle to resolve, so we didn't really want to risk too much here. So I think here's where we do the strategy. We send everyone to middle to 5. We want to push all the way to 11 so that we can take 13 and 14. Bearing in mind we're on comms here, so I am typing, but the actual strategy discussion is going down on voice communications on Discord. So we're pushing 5, and it looks like we're going to lose this. So we push it again and again, and I go back to repair my ships. Pharaoh is pushing bottom, and top is probably getting pushed by Nasuki again. There's Chris there, he's another very big hitter from BMR. So we ended up losing the battle in 5. That was very disheartening. We were like, oh, are we going to lose this? We just lost our big push. It seemed like our ships didn't register to the battle properly. But anyway, I've fully repaired, so now I'm coming out again, and we're going to take 3. And we're going to do a similar strategy where we're trying to cut them off, essentially. So you see here there's a bunch of them in warp between 3 systems. We want to try and catch them before they can group up again. So there's battles popping up all over the place. I just gave the order to free fire and take out anyone that we could catch. Now, because of this, some chaos was had. There was so many battles going on that I'm sure their commanders and themselves were like in a panic of trying to organize everyone. So what I did is I went and got a buff, and I started going behind them. I started sending my ships off past 11, 14, down to 12. And it wasn't until I reached 11 and 14 that I realized a strategy that I could do. They were winning the push. We had to figure out a way to bring them back into their HQ, or at least weaken them down. So you see here, I see motes coming out, and I'm like, oh, I could do something about this. They're coming out kind of blindly into the battles. So what I could do is those people returning, those people going out, I could kill them off because I've got a very, very strong fleet. So I could kill them off as they're spawning. So essentially spawn kill them so that either they have to send someone back or they have to group everyone that's in the HQ to beat me. So I catch one person here, so that's 3 million gone. And I think I catch this next person, Vamp. And I think this is where it was on their radar now. They knew that I was here and they knew that they had to do something about it. So Luke came back. I don't know if he withdrew or if he died from one of the many battles that were going on. He came back and then we managed to capture 5 and we quickly pushed to 8. Pharaoh again is pushing bottom. He should be able to take bottom himself, but we sent some people to help him. And I just gave the order, we need to capture as many outposts as possible. Don't enter other battles, just capture outposts. And boy, did people do well. We went from 8 to 11, and you'll see 7 goes to 10, and we managed to capture them just in time. See, 10's already popped, and 11 should be captured soon. So now BMR have started the battle on 10, but we've got enough people there that we can hold it until the fighting timer ends. We've only got 25 seconds left. So we managed to recapture 3, I believe. Oh no, sorry, the enemy are attacking 3, we are attacking 11, and we hold 10. Now, we would have won the battle at 3 and the battle at 10, I believe, but we would have lost the battle at 11. And you see here, the difference is 8 to 7. If that battle was allowed to conclude, and it was considered past the timer, then we would have actually lost this. You see there, we lost 10 and 11. So we essentially took enough for the timer to end, and that was it. If the timer went on, we would have lost. So we were very happy with the results, but it was extremely close. Like literally 10 seconds between them winning and us winning. And you see here in the final screen, it was 145 million of us versus 169 million of them, nearly 170 million. And it was 28 of us and 23 of them, so they had much bigger players, but we had more players. We gained about 400 points for this, and it was actually our first victory in Galaxy Summit. So we got some nice rewards from it. Morale was incredibly high, not just for Concord, for our entire server. We very proud of this. 2 very competitive teams, fielding massive fleets and doing really good strategies, and basically in a tug of war between each other. So it's great that these top 2 alliances are, well, the top 2 in Nebula 54, and of course we are a friendly server. We're pretty much got Nebula-wide peace, so this was fantastic for morale and fantastic to measure each other's strengths and to have a bit of fun. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did by liking the video and commenting. I'd love to upload some more PvP Galaxy Summits and gives this kind of commentary. Let me know if it was valuable. I know I talk a bit fast and my accent can be a bit hard to understand, but hopefully it was good. Let me know if there was any troubles, any recommendations, any ways to improve these. But yeah, hope you all have a wonderful day.